Hi, this is Aziz Kapadia from Sharp Programmer. Welcome to my channel. In this video, we will learn how to expose API scope for application permission in Azure Active Directory. Register a function app to consume secured API. Add application permission to function app. Debug and run the function. Please watch my previous video wherein I have explained how to call a secure API using MVC web app. Visual Studio solution for this video is on GitHub. Repository link is in the description. Download it or clone it on the computer. We have to expose application permission to enable a background app to obtain token without user. Azure does not provide a user interface to expose application scope. We have to edit manifest for the application scope. Log into Azure portal and open Azure Active Directory page. Click on App Registrations Blade. Select Gherkin.catalog.api app registration, which we had done in the previous video. Now select Manifest Blade. Look for Application Roles Array. I am pasting this JSON here. Make sure ID and value do not match with other permissions ID and value. Allowed member types array should have one value, which is application. Save the manifest changes and close the Gherkin.catalog.api blade. Now we will register the function app which will call the catalog API to get products securely. Open the app registration blade if not opened and click on new registration. Enter Gherkin.catalog.function app in the name text box. Select multiple tenant plus personal account option for supported account types. Click on register button to save it and close the blade. Open API permissions blade and click on add permission link. Azure opens a panel at the right hand side of the blade. Click on My API tab. It displays a list of APIs which are registered by us. Select Gherkin.catalog.api from the list. It opens a new panel. This panel displays delegated permissions and application permissions. Select Application Permissions. It displays our exposed scope for Gherkin.catalog.api for applications. Check the products.get.all permission checkbox. Click on Add Permission button. Now click on Grant Admin Consent for the Active Directory. This action is required for the application permission since there will be no user interaction when app will obtain the authorization token for the scope. This action marks all permissions as granted admin access. We need to remove it if we don't want to grant admin permission for all the delegated permissions. Open Overview blade. We have to enter this application ID and tenant ID in the function settings, client ID and tenant ID setting values. I have copied it here in the functions local.settings.json file. Go back to portal and open the certificate and secrets blade. Click on plus new client secret link. Leave the description blank and 1 year option selected for the expires option and click on add button. A new secret will be added in the list. Copy the secret. Paste it in the settings file client secret setting value. In the Azure portal, close the Gherkin.catalog.function app registration blade and open the Active Directory overview blade. Copy primary domain from the tenant information box. Paste the domain in the setting files domain setting value. Open the app registrations blade and click on Gherkin.catalog.api registration. Click on expose an API. Copy application ID URI. Paste it in the setting files scope URI setting value. Function needs a storage account to run. we can use Azure storage account or a storage emulator locally. Here is the storage connection string setting. For running locally, I have set up to run using Azure Storage Emulator. Azure Storage Emulator should be installed on the computer to use it as a storage account. To download Storage Emulator, navigate to this Download SDKs and Tools page. Click on Tools tab. Now scroll down and check the Storage Emulator section. Download installer file using this link for Windows to install it. Click on this link for other operating systems. Make sure Gherkin.catalog.api project is selected as startup project. Name should be displayed in bold fonts. If not, then right click on the project and click on Set as Startup Project context menu item. Press F5 key on the keyboard or click on Run button in top menu bar. Once it is running and opened in the browser, then in the Visual Studio solution, right click on Gherkin.catalog.function app project and select Debug and then select Start New Instance from the context menu. I have set up a breakpoint in startup file to show how to set up the Azure AD authentication for application. Here it creates an instance of confidential client application which will be used to authenticate the application without user intervention. This instance is injected using dependency injection so that we could use it wherever it is required. Now this function is running and waiting for a trigger. This function is timer trigger function and have set up to run every 10 minutes. But we can also trigger it by sending a post request. We can use Postman to send a post request like this: https://localhost:7071/admin/functions and then function name. Here function name is products function. Now send the request and it hits the breakpoint. It obtains the token and then calls the products API. Let's examine the token using jot.ms. Here it contains a role, not the scope. So we should check for the role in the called API. Continue debugging in the Visual Studio. Press F10. Here it makes a call to catalog API. It hits the catalog API product controller endpoint. It also checks for the correct role. If token does not contain correct role, then it would return 403 forbidden response. Finally, it gets the data and returns to the client. So, function app gets the list of products and prints it in the console. That's how we can configure a background app to securely connect to an API using Azure AD. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave your comments and suggestions below. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe the channel and hit the bell icon to get notified for the new videos.